welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. On the show today, we'll be reviewing our 5-0 thrashing of Roy Hodgson's Crystalpalace side yesterday at the Emirates Stadium. So sit back and enjoy the show. Next week, we'll be doing a special show on our all-time best Premier League 11 from 1992 to the present day. So hopefully you can join us for that. On the show today, I'm joined by my regular guests and fresh from the Emirates yesterday. EAMONN Donnelly, how are you? Looking fresh faced as always.
Evening, Jonathan. Evening, Matt. I'm looking forward to Ski Sunday there and Songs of Prize later there Sunday. Bit of Ski Sunday. Nothing wrong with it. Grand. Yeah, we got back okay. All good.
Good to have you on, EAMONN, as always. And I'm also joined by Matt Bourne. Welcome back, Matt, and fresh from the Emirates yourself. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Not too bad. Always nice to go over and see a nice 5-0. You know, if it had been 9, we'd have gone into second. So there you go.
You can't ask for everything, Matt. I'll take 5-0 though. Both EAMONN and Matt were at the Emirates yesterday, and what was it? A cracking start. A Storm Isha batters Ireland. We certainly battered Crystalpalace yesterday 5-0. We kick on with our review from yesterday's game, lads. 5-0 at home against Palace after the little Premier League reset. Gabriel got 2. I know one of them was going to go down as a Henderson OG, but I think we'll give Gabriel the 2 goals. I think Trossard scored a brilliant tort, and Martinelli, who came on as a sub, took 2 very well taken goals to see it a 5-0 against Palace. It leaves us with 21 played, 42 scored, 20 conceded, and 43 points, which leaves us third. Liverpool are top. And as we're recording this at 4 o'clock on Sunday, Liverpool play Bournemouth away today. So hopefully Bournemouth might do us a bit of a favour. They're top with 45 points and City are second with 43. With our next fixture against Nottingham Forest on Tuesday the 30th of January at 7:30 on TNT Sports. To the action yesterday, lads. First goal, I thought it was a superb corner kick from Declan Rice for Gabriel's first. He rose really well ahead of Richards, the Crystalpalace defender, and that was Gabriel's first goal at the Emirates since August 22, which I think was Fulham, in that 2-1 victory, if I'm not mistaken. A poor clearance by David Raya when it was still 1-0. It was pounced on quite quickly by Lerma, but in fairness to Raya, he saved really well from the first time volley. And I thought from that moment on, Raya composed himself really well. Jordan Match, he got that kind of out system. I thought he had a pretty decent game. Great second delivery from Saka for the corner for our second goal. Gabriel at the back post, perfect header, and went in off Henderson. I thought it was really, our set pieces are really working well this season. I think we've got the most goals from set pieces in the Premier League, so the new set piece coach doing his job well. For the third goal of poor Palace corner, David Ray caught it. Quick reactions to send Jesus down the left, and a superb ball into the box for Trossard to put Klein on his backside. Very similar to Jesus' goal against United, where Dallo was still sliding. I think Klein is still sliding, and he took his goal really well. He buried it past Henderson. I think that's his first goal in 10 games for Trossard, so good to see him back on the scoring charts again. A 3-0, Eze had a free kick, well saved by Raya. I thought Eze was probably Palace's best player, I thought, on the day, and it was his mistake that led to Martinelli to get our fourth. I thought it was really good through ball from Eddie Nketiah. Saw Martinelli, and it was kind of like an Henry Aubameyang type finish, cornered into Henderson's left-hand post. And then I thought Jorginho then a superb ball to pick out Martinelli, who just burst down the wing, and he was just took his goal really well, and it sealed a really good performance, I thought, yesterday. kind of like a first day of the season performance again. I thought, really good tempo, looked fresh. I think the reset was really needed, as we were saying a couple of weeks ago, and back to winning ways again after back-to-back defeats against West Ham and Fulham. I'll come to you, Eamon. You were at the match yesterday. Better view than I had from watching on the box. Your take on yesterday's match?
Well, strangely enough, Matt and I didn't know we were going to be doing the show today, but we were able to spend a half an hour kind of picking the bones out of the game over a beer after the game, Yeah, I mean, I was on an earlier flight than Matt, but we got a chance to speak just as two fans rather than podcast people, and I think we were fairly synergized with our view. The first thing I noticed after 2-3 minutes, I was encouraged because Saliba and Gabriel were only taking 2 and 3 touches on the ball before moving it. And I've been saying on this show ad nauseum, if they're taking 8 and 9 touches, it means there's not enough happening in front of them, or else we're not doing things quickly enough. So that gave me a bit of encouragement to start with. Declan was slightly different. Declan was taking 8, 9 touches on the ball, but he was driving forward with it. It wasn't kind of a step here and a step there, and I'm looking here and I'm looking there. I think I think they went with a plan that when Declan got the ball, he was going to try and make ground with it, and and get the ball into opposition territory. So that was encouraging. Zinchenko was taking less touches. Zinchenko has come in for a lot of criticism over how he's slowing the play down a lot. He moved into the middle of the park, and again, he was moving the ball quickly. So that was good. So we scored from a couple of corners. But I tell you what now, it's funny because when Declan Rice went out to take the first corner, I actually said to a pal of ours, Ray Connor, beside me, I said, what's a 6'2" guy taking a corner for, And the next thing was he took a corner and we score. But there was a few things I noticed about all of our corners. They were a totally different shape than the corners that we've been taking up to now, in that we always favour in-swingers, but we were going deep and beyond the goalkeeper with them. And then there was 1 or 2 times after that, we went for that near post one to mix it up a bit. And I like that. Yeah. And I think that instructs me that a lot of work was done on this, right? Because that near post corner is a very, very dangerous weapon, but it's very hard to land. If you think about it, if you're standing at a corner flag and you want to hit that near post zone, it's so easy to undercook. And then you get, you have to beat the first man. And if you overcook it, it's into the goalkeeper's arms. So we went with a different ploy yesterday. The second thing I noticed was Gabriel would have stabbed his own grandmother to get at those balls.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you cast your mind back to the game against Liverpool when he left one for Saka, where if he had thrown himself at it the way he did yesterday, we were going 1-0 up. He absolutely had it in his mind. Him and nobody else was getting that ball. Now, I was standing beside Matt, and the first thing I said when the first goal went in, let's wait for VAR here. I think he's probably... But when I look back, he didn't. He just propelled himself in such a way. He didn't take any leverage after the... He just decided, I and nobody else is winning this ball. It was a brilliant goal. So that was the first thing. So I'd imagine that a Stewart's inquiry has been done on set pieces in general, because while we are the top scorers from set pieces, they'd dried up a bit recently, and we'd started to concede goals from set pieces. So I'd say a bit of work was done on that. The other thing I noticed was we tried to win the ball a lot quicker, win it back, and we did that. A couple of other things. Bukayo Saka didn't have his best day. It didn't really happen for him. He got clumped as usual early on, and he was holding his leg and that. But his defensive work was really, really impressive. In that the amount of times when it's not going for you, the best thing you can do is roll up your sleeves and do the hard work, and that's what he did yesterday, right? So his normal kind of cavalier stuff wasn't really coming off, but he did loads of work for his with Ben White down that side. Kai Havertz and himself actually spent a lot of time switching positions where Saka ended up in the middle and Havertz out on the right. And I like that. At least it shows me we're trying to do something different to open up teams. I thought Havertz was exceptional yesterday. Good to see Smith Rowe coming on. He looks fit. I'm not buying all the rumours about loans and all that. He looked fit to me. Eddie did well when he came on. Martinelli, I tell you what was very instructive about Martinelli when I watched the goals back today. The first goal he barely celebrated. It was almost as if he was angry at having been dropped. I like that.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
But the second goal that he got, he really kind of celebrated, as much to say, there's a bit of feel good coming back here.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was good.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to talk about is the crowd. I know you texted me last night and said it looked to be a cracking atmosphere. It wasn't. It was these half-12 games are a bit of a hard ask for the crowd because nobody's had a chance to kind of loosen up before the match and all of that. But it was a cautious crowd, and I'd reference, Matt would probably know this. There's 3 lads I talked to, I've been talking to for years. They're season ticket holders. Over there, they go home and away, and they stand up with a bar mat there. You know the crowd up at the jukebox in the King's Head, right? Yeah. And the 3 of them are actually called Steve. There's 3 Steves. The 3 Steves, right? And there's one Steve that's an eternal optimist. Oh, we win 5-0 today. There's another Steve that is really, really supportive of the club, and they're all supportive of the club and kind of tries to see the best in it. And there's one that's kind of in between. The optimistic Steve yesterday before the game was down in his boots because he still hadn't got over the fact that we'd lost a couple of games in a row and all of that. And I think that kind of was in the crowd yesterday. We were all a wee bit worried, you know. What brought the crowd to life was the 3rd goal, because only if you were where Matt and I were, which was in the clock end behind David Raya. I know he threw a great ball out to Gabriel Jesus. I'm telling you, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady would have been proud of that. It was a catapult he threw out right into his run. There you go. In one pass, Palace were turned inside out, you know. I think Raya did well yesterday. I don't really blame him for the one he kind of shanked, because I don't think Saliba should have put him in that position. And that's the last thing I want to say. I'm all for playing out and beating the press, and we did it very well yesterday, right? But you don't have to do it 100 times out of 100. And that was the time, and Saliba did it a couple of times in the second half. Sometimes when you're cornered, you've just got to put the ball behind the opposition, like they do in rugby, and let everybody turn around and reset. You know, I think Saliba played Raya into a bit of trouble at that point, and all he could do was take a swing at it, and that didn't go very well. But at least he kind of recovered it. So, you know, we weren't brilliant yesterday, but we were. We were purposeful, is the word I'd use. There was a purpose about what we did, and we looked like a team that was a bit stung by criticism recently. And from that point of view, it was a great day, good day out, and you know, very, very, very pleased with that. I did say one of these days we'll put 7 or 8 up on somebody, and yesterday could have been that day, without us having to be electric, you know. Palace were poor. And they had protests going on about their ownership, and when that kind of toxic stuff, I've been at Palace many, many times. It's never toxic, but yesterday I was talking to a few Palace lads from RG on the way home, and they were saying that the fans were fighting amongst themselves, you know, and that's not good. So that's my experience of yesterday, lads.
Yeah, I think definitely the loss of Will Zaha's definitely having an effect on Palace. They look very deflated. Could possibly will be Roy Hodgson's last stint for Palace, I think, even if he makes it to the end of the season. They're on a poor run, but we took advantage of that, in fairness to us, and we looked really fresh. I was really pleased with Gabriel Jesus. Looked really fresh yesterday, you know, moving the backline, Palace backline around. Matt, you were also at the match beside Eamon there, as he said. It's the second time we've won 5-0 this season. The last time was Sheffield United. What was your take on yesterday's match?
Yeah, pretty much the same as Eamon. I don't disagree with Eamon very much. Maybe I should sometimes, but look, everything Eamon said was spot on, absolutely spot on. I think the first conversation we had, Eamon, in the pub after the game was about Havertz, and he was exceptional. You know, I find myself watching individual players just to see, because, you know, he's had a lot of criticism, and I still don't know if we know what his actual position is and what he's best at. But what he did yesterday was excellent. Really, really good. He held the ball up beautifully. He laid the ball off beautifully. You know, he didn't get knocked off the ball at all. I'm sure he had 100% success in passes and everything else. You know, he was really, really good. So delighted to see that. I think what really delighted me as well was like Eamon said about the corners. You know, Declan Rice's corner I looked at it again a couple of times this morning. It was exceptional. It was an absolutely beautiful outswinger, perfection. You know, and my first impression when Gabriel jumped up there, I thought he climbed.
Yeah,
I actually thought he climbed, and I thought, oh, VAR are going to look at this. Here we go again. But looking at it since then, like Eamon said, nobody else was winning that ball. If you remember, a couple of years ago, Ronaldo did this jump at a match, and he jumped about 6 feet higher than the guy who jumped beside him. And it was that kind of determination from Gabriel. You know, he's such a passionate player. He's absolutely exceptional, and nobody else was taking that ball off his head, you know. And when you look at the second goal, which unfortunately has been chalked down as an own goal, but we'll give it to him, he had another opportunity with a header, and he was furious with himself, absolutely furious with himself when he put it wide.
Actually,
I thought, you know, I'm not a critic of Raya, but I'm just a Ramsdale guy. You know, I've always been a Ramsdale guy. I think he gives something more to the squad. I think he gives more of a passion in the squad. I think we kind of missed that a lot.
yeah.
Yesterday, I can't fault Ray yesterday. You know, if you remember a couple of occasions last season, Ramsdale would kick out a similar ball to what Raya did and gave away a couple of goals. But Raya kicked it out yesterday, and he was back in position to make sure it didn't go back in the net after, you know. His distribution was fabulous for that goal. His distribution overall was very, very good. I thought Trossard held his run beautifully to score that goal. You know, there was always, I think it went to VAR as well. They all do anyway. But
how did that go to VAR, man? I watched that this morning. He was miles onside.
He was, yeah. No, absolutely he was. But VAR look at everything, yeah. But he held his run up beautifully.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And, you know, fabulous finish as well. So that was fantastic to see. I think even after that goal, Gabriel went straight over to Raya to congratulate him, you know. And that was really, really good to see. You know, Raya doesn't have the same presence, I suppose, as Ramsdale when it comes to, you know, interacting with the fans and getting too passionate about anything. But it was great to see that he, you know, that he got the credit where credit was due. So, no, very good to see it. The atmosphere overall, like Eamon said, it just felt flat. I don't know what it is. It wasn't the same feeling around the stadium. You know, the club tried to get everybody to bring their scarves and, you know, hold them out. And where we were standing, a big flag came down the start of the game and everything else. But it just seemed a bit flat. I don't know if it's because of the few results. I don't know if it's a bit of pettiness with fans expecting more, you know, when, you know, we've had so many good times over the last couple of years with results and in the title fight and get back in the Champions League and everything else. But it did feel very flat. And, you know, obviously by the time Martinelli got his 2 goals in injury time, the stadium was well on the way to clearing out as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't really even notice that because, you know, as an Arsenal fan who would never leave early,
Matt, just on that, I was thinking about that this morning. I didn't notice it either. But when Martinelli got his 2 goals, I felt that a bit of the fizz came back into the stadium. That people were saying it was a bit of a turning point that we went and did that in injury time. You know, I I thought the stadium really kind of came up when that happened, you know.
And you know what? The three, we're 3-0 up at that stage, and the atmosphere was still very flat. And I suppose in a way, the 5-0, doesn't really tell the story of the game. We were much better than Palace. Don't get me wrong. We were much better than.
Yeah, very Palace side.
But we've played much better, and you could go out against a Palace side and play our very, very best and beat them 7 or 8-0 comfortably. I just think at 3-0 it felt like it's a nice 3-0 victory against Palace. It's a comfortable, it's Arsenal beat Palace comfortably or Arsenal trash Palace. Within the blink of an eye when Martinelli gets his 2 goals. Yeah. So I was delighted to see Martinelli scoring the goals. I think he did. As soon as he scored the first one, you thought of Thierry Henry straight away. And I just wrote something down there, Jonathan. Don't ever compare Henry to Aubameyang. All right.
I had his moments of Aubameyang when he scored a few nices as well. Do you think, Matt? Sorry for coming across you.
Yeah.
Do you think, as Eamon said earlier on, do you think that was a nudge by Martinelli scoring twice to give Arteta, I want to be starting games?
I felt for a while that Martinelli, I've said it before on the podcast. Martinelli has so much to his game.
Yeah.
He's got so much. He's got speed. He's got skill. He's got everything. But his final ball is always terrible. And even before he scored the 2 goals, he had done that thing again where he ran inside and got all the way nearly to the goalkeeper and then didn't put the proper pass in. Now it doesn't work all the time. He doesn't do it all the time, but he does it an awful lot.
Do you think he overthinks it, Matt? Do you think that's what it is, or
he does overthink it? Absolutely. Yeah. But it's no harm for a player to have that bit of competition. A Trossard does not have what Martinelli has for cutting inside and for the skill element. Trossard doesn't. But Trossard gives you something else. He'll give you more goals. He'll give you a different perspective on the game. But I think the 2 balls that went through to Martinelli to score his 2 goals yesterday from Eddie and Jorginho, he came onto them determined to score. He was absolutely determined.
Can I just come in there, because we were actually, it might have been with yourself, Matt, before the game. We were having this conversation about Martinelli, and I think one of the big problems that Martinelli has this year is that Granit Xhaka isn't on the pitch, right? Because, and the point I was trying to make was that a lot of the time Martinelli has received the ball this season, he's been out hugging the touchline with a double up on him because we're not getting it to him quickly enough. Whereas Granit Xhaka was able to push it out to him out wide or give him the eyebrows and go on the inside channel.
Well, that actually happened a couple of times yesterday, Eamon, as well.
That's how he got his 2 goals, because Jorginho put it down to him on the inside channel, and Eddie Nketiah put it down on the inside channel, and he got his 2 goals. I just think Martinelli's been suffering a small bit from the type of ball that he's been getting has been too slow to come to him because of all the touches that were taken at the back and all of that. And by the time he gets it, so Martinelli's going to be a worldie. He's 22 years of age and he's already terrific. And I agree with Matt. His final ball isn't always great, but I'll take a dangerous player who gives a bad final ball 3 or 4 times if he's that dangerous, because he'll get some of them right, And I just think that he's been missing what Granit Xhaka gave us, and we've got to find different ways of getting that. Eddie's ball yesterday surprised me. It was very perceptive.
Yeah, it was.
Very perceptive. Jorginho's doesn't. I love Jorginho. I just wish Jorginho had never played for National Front FC, because do you know what? He looks like a player that was made for our club. I want to blot the first 30 years of his life out of my mental history. But he looks like an Arsenal player, and I love watching him. And and when he comes on, do you know what? He never moans about the fact that he doesn't start. He just comes on and what am I going to be today? I'm going to be Jorginho.
Yeah. He gives us a different dimension to the game when he comes on. He's a very, very solid player. Like every player, he made a mistake against Tottenham to give away a goal, but he was desperate. He was desperately sorry about that, and he's very good connection even online with the Arsenal fans. And he's like you say, and I was about to say it as you were saying it. He gives out about nothing. And that's great to see, He knows he's only a squad player. He knows he's not going to be playing week in, week out. But when he does come in, he comes in with passion and he gives us all every game, There
was one incident I saw yesterday, right? And so if the listeners can imagine, so we're 18 rows back behind the clock end goal. Great. It's great. I love standing there with it. It's great place to watch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a great view, yeah.
But there was one ball that came out to Jorginho, right? And I think he was going to have a whack at it. And then realised he wasn't quite going to make that, right? And then realised if he doesn't make it, he's going to get turned around and he's going to give away a goal a la Tottenham. And what he did was he just shanked it up in the air. And I thought, well, there's a fella who's still hurting about that goal from that, because whatever happens, because Jorginho always tries to play a sensible pass, but this time everybody said, "What's he doing?" But I think had he been turned over in possession that time, we were in trouble. So he just decided, and I love that. I love watching him. He's a credit to himself in the way he's handled himself in the year he's been with us.
Yeah,
I think it was a very clever signing. With all the experience he brings, and keeps the lads grounded.
No, and isn't it strange the way you bring a player like Jorginho in who gives you what he gives you, but everybody is giving out about Havertz, about the transfer fee. And listen, I am not sold completely on Havertz yet, but what I have noticed is fabulous improvement in his game, in his distribution, in his holding up. He's not getting into goal scoring positions. I don't know if he seems to maybe panic a little bit while he's in there and the opportunity is there, whatever else. And my brother-in-law was there yesterday as well, and he said to me, how we can't really judge him because he scored a few goals, but one went in off his face, one went in off his knee, off his arse, so we can't really judge him yet in that. But we need him to, maybe if he gets a couple of decent goals, he'll be able to push forward properly. And
yesterday, Matt, I mean, without even saying anything to each other, he really looked like a player yesterday.
Yeah, he did, 100%.
He was gliding across the grass. He looked like a confident player. It was almost as if somebody spent a week in Dubai filling him with confidence.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. I think Palace were the perfect team to be playing from that little reset. Like you could see from the start, the players wanted to give the fans something back. After the poor performances against Liverpool, Fulham, and West Ham over the last few weeks. It's. I thought, as Eamon says at the start, when Smith Rowe came on, he's looking very athletic, isn't he?
He's looking very fit. Yeah.
Credit to him. He's really in a tough position there, where doesn't know where his career is going at the moment, but we haven't seen anything come out, the papers or social media or anything else from him to say he's unhappy. He just seems to know, and we all speculate about the reasons why he hasn't been getting his game and his fitness and other issues that might be there. But he's a great kid. I'd hate to see him leave the club. I don't think
he will leave the club.
No, and I know absolutely. No, I don't think.
I think if those rumours about West Ham loan have on the go boy, well then I would imagine we have something up our sleeve, because we're not just going to say that you can have ESR, there you go, and do nothing. That's not going to happen, right? Yeah. But do you know what? I was just thinking about this. I was saying it actually. Johnny Gugu, aka Sparky John, there on Friday, because I went over to the game. I went over for the trip on Friday. It was lovely to be able to walk to the game yesterday morning rather than get a flight, But saying that, like, if Smith Rowe is fit and healthy, he has the talent, right? I understand his lifestyle issues are okay, right? So there's got to be something else. Yeah. And I was just saying, and I'm not insinuating anything here, but people always look at footballers from a purely cold clinical point of view to say if you're getting 100, 150 grand a week, well, you should be able to go out and do your best all the time. But footballers have to worry about mental health as well as everything else. And I just wonder, and I don't want to go in to say anybody thinking I'm saying Emil Smith-Rowe has mental health issues, right? I'm just saying sometimes when things are not going that well for somebody, there's other issues, you know. And he strikes me as a really good kid, you know, and he wants to stay with Arsenal.
Yeah,
it's his club, you know, and I really, really hope, and I hope that he gets more involved as the season goes on, because he has a lot to offer. I'm telling you one thing. If you want somebody to get Martinelli down the inside channel, there's no better man, you know, because he's very perceptive with his passing, you know. So, yeah, it's good to see him.
Do you think that's would it now move for the rest of the season? Do you think they would do Smith-Rowe the world of good, you know, or do you think we should keep hold of him and, you know, use him over the rest of the season?
100%. To him, you know, like I say, he's Arsenal through and through. You could even the best atmosphere or the loudest the crowd got yesterday was when Smith-Rowe came on. There was a fantastic reception for him, and then they were all singing the Sack and Emil Smith-Rowe song, and you know, it actually lifted the crowd a bit at that stage when he came on, and it was the loudest of the whole day, louder than the Ashburton Army were all day, you know. So
it just strikes me that if we were intending to farm him out, he wouldn't have got on in 70 minutes yesterday.
No. And it was good to see him get on the 70 minutes rather than 86 minutes. You know, it was actually good. It was good to see him play, and he put in a very good shift when he came on. You know, he was very quickly, and it was fabulous to see it. You know, so look, I do not want him to leave at all. I love players coming through from Hale End. I'd love to see them in the squad. I think it gives us another dimension when you've got homegrown players there who it means something to them about the club. You know, they've been there since they were kids, and they're passionate about it, and it helps.
I remember saying to a couple of you back in the days we were in the Grand Social about 6 years ago. I think Emil Smith-Rowe is 23 now, so he was about 17 at the time, and I was saying at the time Ozil was still important for us, and I was saying that we don't have to worry about a replacement for him because we this kid is stunningly good, you know. Or as Sergeant Brown had said, "Hey, Mo, who's that? Ozil."
I love him. Yeah, I think we have to remember as well. He has had his injuries, hasn't he? You know, when he's just been, you know, when he was coming good in the international side as well.
He wasn't fit for a year. You know what I mean? That's the truth of it. He wasn't fit for a year, you know?
Yeah.
He went under the knife twice for that groin operation, you know?
Yeah, it's tough at that young age, isn't it? You know, to keep bouncing back, you know, especially in a side that's constantly adding quality. You know, you don't want to be left behind as well, you know, because in fairness to Arteta, he's put these players on another level since he's come in. You know, you can see that, you know, that 11 that we have, it's world beaten, you know. And 5-0 leaves us in third place, still very much in the mix for the title, you know. It's still all to play for, you know, and still have to play the big teams.
Absolutely. I mean, I was taking stock of this yesterday. I was thinking, you know, we wanted to be in the Champions League. We're planted in the last 16. And I'm telling you, folks, I'm not being delusional here, right? There's outside of Man City, there's not a lot in that Champions League that you'd actually say they're better than us. Really. Outside of Man City, right? We're in the mix up in the top four, not far off the top. You know, we could get a few wins and see where it takes us. So, like, we're in a good place, you know? If we can get that team playing with a bit of confidence, we're a bit short on numbers at the moment. I'd like to see Thomas Partey become available again. Yeah. But just before we leave the other thing, I was actually talking to an old friend of mine about Emil Smith-Rowe, and he said he's a great fan. It was Cam Barlow. and he said about that every time he was sitting down with Deirdre and he looked at Smith Rowe's injuries, what would he say? Oh, but it's so frustrating, Deirdre. So just wanted to get that in. Ken, if you're still listening today, I think you're 104 tomorrow or something like that. Yeah.
It's good to have Ken back on the show again.
Good to have Ken back on the show.
Yesterday.
By the way, an update from the President of Ireland. Be careful out there, Gunners. The wind is swirling. Right? Just Michael D is always a good listener to the show. So anyway, that was yesterday.
You're a man of the match, Eamon, from yesterday?
Hi, Havertz.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. I probably would have given mine. I thought Gabriel had a great game yesterday. I thought set piece wise, you can see he's really worked on it. Yeah.
You see, Jonathan, I'm not saying like one is right and one is wrong. Like Gabriel was excellent yesterday, but again, from where Matt and I were sitting, we could see early doors, even before we scored the goal. Havertz was moving into all sorts of gaps. He was constant movement, and as Matt said, constant movement, and then his control and pass, not giving the ball away. It was moving the opposition around. It really was. And I don't know whether it was you said to me or I said to you after the game, they took our best player off. But look, he done a great shift, and I think the reception he got when he was leaving the field kind of tells you all you needed to know about how he played yesterday. So for me,
do you think that was the best performance you've seen of him at the Emirates?
Oh, by a mile. By a mile.
So the reset has done.
We're in the EU by 1.6 kilometers.
That's good enough for me. That's improvement. Matt, you're man of the match from yesterday?
Same. We actually I met Eamon in the pub after, and the first bit of conversation we had was about Kai Havertz. I said to Eamon, I walked in, Kai Havertz, what do you think? And we both agreed the same thing. I think there was a lot of decent performances out there yesterday. A lot of very decent performances. I think Zinchenko had a very good game too. In fairness to him, Gabriel, you can't fault him. And Martinelli for 10 minutes was exceptional as well. But overall, I think Kai Havertz for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's on our WhatsApp group, there's a picture of Eamon and Ozzy, and he was standing vertically, which so it was a good afternoon by all. And that we're down to be previewing next week's fixture because it's the FA Cup weekend next weekend, so we have another 10-day rest before the next game against Forest, which hopefully plays into our hands. The only disappointing thing I suppose about the weekend is I had Arsenal to win 4-0. Would have had a nice view of Bob and that. Martinelli ruined that one. And then I had Tony to score first. And he goes to score second. But I know Tony had a few quid on first to score first.
Yeah.
Did you see the Ivan Tony thing that went up today? Yeah, he had Forest to score first, yeah.
Currently, it's Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 0. So if Bournemouth can hold out for the next 75 minutes.
We're going to tune into that now in a minute, yeah.
Yes, I have to say our last couple of shows has gone down really well viewer-wise as well, lads. Our season midterm review there last week and the show beforehand, so going all guns there. Is there anything Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club wise you'd like mention, Eamon?
No, I think we're ticking along. I think we've managed to get expectation under control, and I think we're still getting, thankfully, good allocation of tickets from the club, and we're trying to manage that the best we can. So yeah, all good. Next game against Forest, I'll probably go in for that one.
Tuesday night, that one is. Yeah.
Tuesday night, yeah.
Yeah. Would you like anything mentioned yourself, Matt?
No. Jesus, what else? No, there's nothing really, Jonathan. I think we've covered quite a bit there today.
Yeah, really good show, lads. All within the 40-minute mark for our listeners. As I said at the start of the show, next week we'll be doing a special show on our all-time best Premier League 11 from the start to present day. So that should be a good one. As always, you can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel. Thanks to Martin for putting this up, as always. And also catch us on Spotify, Twitter, and Instagram, and our Facebook page. Thanks as always to EAMONN. Thanks for coming on today, pal. And Matt, both fresh face from yesterday's 5-0 thrashing and heading into Stormisha. I think we've done pretty well in 42 minutes today.
But you know what David O'Leary said about Stormisha?
Get on with it.
As I said, at the end of the day, a storm is a storm. Get on with it.
Nothing like a storm to get Arsenal back playing in top form again. Thanks for listening, lads. As always, please comment, like, and subscribe, and have a good week. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.